Okay, dual sport bikes are the rage of all 50-plus-year-old guys like myself, and we're going to give you some quick tips on the best mods you should be looking to do on your dual sport. If you're going to go out dual sporting, one of the first things I recommend doing is getting the onX app onto your phone. Kind of helps you get around. You can look at maps and trails, and that's really going to be fun for you to look around. If you click on our link in our description, it'll give you a discount code to do so. Okay, so with dual sports, you can go crazy spending all kinds of money and doing all kinds of things. But most of the dual sports nowadays all come a bit corked up. So all these things we're suggesting are bikes. These bikes are suggested for you get to check your local state guidelines and rules for you to do. Most of these bikes all want more air. Most of these bikes can all run as well as their 450 counterpart bike. So these bikes can be made opened up. Same thing with the Honda CRF 450 RL. Here we have a 366 and a 350 stock. We have a 450 EXC as well. These EXCs are great bikes, and they're going to talk about what to do next. So the bikes want to be opened up to breathe better. So to do any modifications realistically, to open them up to breathe better, you're going to want to add on an ECU. The stock ECU cannot be flashed or remapped like in a car or other vehicle. So you're going to need a different ECU, a Vortex or a Get ECU. You're going to have to get that done. And there's shops that will do that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So if you don't have an ECU upgrade, do not plan on doing any modifications to it. Ride it stock. Okay, so the next thing would then be a slip-on muffler. There's lots of different ones to choose from. We like the FMF. They have a Q. They have different ones. And that's going to really wake this thing up. By doing that, putting on a 2-stroke air filter cage will also help it breathe better. Taking out the reed cage on the KTMs out of the air boot will help them breathe better. With the ECU, this thing's going to really light up. So those are the main engine modifications you really need to do. Most of these bikes don't need much more than that. On these 350s, you can always add more power, right? And I kind of do because it's fun. We can add the Cylinder Works big bore kit. You can add SXF cams to it. Now on the 450 and the 500, you don't really need to do any of that. If you do open it up so it breathes better, add on a slip-on muffler with the Vortex or Get ECU, it's going to be plenty enough power for you and run really well. Thanks for watching our video this far. If you're going to purchase any dirt bike products from Rocky Mountain ATVMC, make sure to click on our link in the description below. Okay, so one of the first things you want to do as far as the external of the engine of the bike is get rid of the cobby big rear sections. So we've taken off a lot of weight off of this bike and have an all-in-one light back here and a license plate mount that'll flip up when it gets hit, so it's not going to tear anything off. It's not going to bounce if you jump off of something. You want to take it around the track. It's not going to get caught in the rear tire and be a mess and tear everything up. So Takamoto makes a really cool piece here with their light that's all-in-one light, so you don't have any blinkers even off of here on the sides, which is what we used to do. Now it's all right here. Speaking of blinkers, they also make these that are integrated right here. You can hardly even tell they're here. They're right here, and they bolt right to the, they don't bolt to, they just clip right onto the forks right here. Other pieces that are really nice to have is the moto-minded headlight, which gives you a lot better power. If you're going to be dual sporting at all at night, you're going to want better lighting power than stock. So having the moto-minded light and bracket, it moves this readout up a little bit. You can get a fancy readout, like Trail Tech has really good units. We don't do enough serious exploration in that way to need it. I just like looking down and seeing how fast I'm going or tracking how many miles, whatever. So we have that to look at. It moves it up. It's really nice. Also, double take mirrors makes really cool tuck-away mirrors like this. It's a really cool system. Just tightens down just like that, and this thing's locked away. It's really cool. So that would be some other things. As far as, you know, my handguards with Enduro Engineering, my ODI champ bars, those are things I do on every bike, not just dual sports. So as far as dual sports, the next big mod would be suspension. You want the suspension to be, in most cases, stiffened up from what it's at. Most of these bikes come with suspension that's really soft, plush for a lot of street and just dirt road riding. If you're going to be more aggressive than that, or you're a lot bigger than the average bear, you're going to want to stiffen up the suspension. So you can do a little research and see what's out there. Racetech's a good source. Factory Connection. There's lots of good shops out there that will help you get the suspension dialed in for you. And a lot of times you're carrying a lot of extra weight, not just here, but in your backpack, whatever you're carrying on your bike, you got to account for that as well. Also, a nice upgrade for a dual sport is a large tank. Now, you would think one of the things about it is you can go fill it up in town anywhere, but I like having a big tank on here just because I don't have to worry about gas on a big ride. Also, Moto makes some nice pieces here that are a lot more bulletproof and make a whole new filter setup that plugs in right here. And this one will supposedly never go out. He runs these for years at a time. Okay, so with the wheels, if you're on a dual sport, the stock wheels don't come with rim locks. You want to have rim locks. As you can see, we got one right here. You want to have rim locks. Now, the problem with the rim lock is, now it's great off-road, right? The tire's not going to spin. It's great off-road. You get on the road and you start getting 50 plus miles an hour on the asphalt, that wheel's going like this. And you're going like this. Now, we don't ride long distances of the road, so it doesn't bother us a lot, but you'll want to balance your wheel. Moto and some other companies have spoke weights that are really nice. In the old days, you would actually just tape on weights like from the auto tire shop. This way, it has weights that clamp on to each spoke. Really nice setup. They just clamp right on. Really cool setup. So you'll want to run those and balance your wheel each time. If you do a change of tire or tube, you're going to have to rebalance it. Now, if you're riding a lot of dual sport and you're doing a lot of road, a lot of miles a day, you're going to probably want a seat that's more comfy. Moto, some guys have some companies that make plush foams. I just run a Moto seat cover from my motocross and trail riding days. We're fine with it. We don't do 200-300 miles in a day. We're barely doing, what do we do? 40 to 80? 40 to 80 in a day is big for us. That's what we do because we're also more in the gnarly stuff. On our controls here, Moto has some really cool pieces. You see how much slimmer this is than the stock setup? Has all these controls are much nicer because you can fit in your clutch levers. Everything will fit much better. Over here, our start button is all in one, like so. Really nice way to set this up. So having these things a lot thinner gives you a lot more room on the bars and a lot better setup. We do keep our key. It's located down here. We just got a spot for that, like so. And we still keep our horn hooked up. We have it on here on this bike. On this bike, it's down here. I don't know if you've seen this yet. It's actually tucked in here. One of the other mods that Moto does a lot of is adding a starting capacitor to the bike. So these bikes, if you run out of battery, you can't bump start these bikes. You can't get the biggest hill you could get on. If you don't got over like 9 volts or something, it's not going to start. So if that battery's done, you're going to have to jump it, whatever. It's not going to be pleasant. But so if you have a starting capacitor on it, you could actually get someone to pull you, or you could get on a hill and bump start it down the hill. So you'll want to add that starting capacitor, especially if you're going to be in far away rides, like in Baja, which is what a lot of guys are building this for. Okay, so that's a lot. That's our big list of all of our crucial dual sport mods that we would do to make the bike more comfy and perform a little better. Hopefully that helps you out. If you have any further questions, I would get with Moto. You can write them an email. They have a Google Drive doc with a lot of information about these bikes, and they do a great job in giving you good direction for your dual sport, EXC, or even the new Hondas that might help you out.
OnX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 GPS app. Access 500,000 miles of trails and roads, open dates and public lands. The Elite version even shows landowners and property boundaries. Download the OnX Off-Road app. To save 20%, use the discount code DBTV1.